This is Stolen TV, ladies and gentlemen. Well, live from the car just on the main drag outside of Cold Lake here. Well, actually inside Cold Lake, but I guess I should caution that I'm just on the side road here parked. I was in a business locally here where one of my buddies works. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, what I've come to learn is that as of about a minute and a half ago, Joel Persson has been assigned to the AHL Bakersfield Condors. So that's an interesting go for the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, we've seen Mr. Joel Persson being used in, well, I guess the last game for him was November 10th. So that's a tough go, right? For Joel Persson, he hasn't seen action for the Edmonton Oilers since November 10th. It's now, hold on, let me tell you what day it is. It's November 18th. So it is what it is at this point, right? For Joel Persson, he hasn't played in 8 days. The Edmonton Oilers defense will be getting Adam Larsson, Brandon Manning back. So, of all the possibilities I have thought of to this point, to sit here and say, well, this is how we're going to get Adam Larsson back in the lineup. This is how we're going to do this is how we're going to do that. I don't think I could have told you that Joel Persson going to the AHL would be the move, because that'll also mean more than likely, after, especially against Dallas, guys, I haven't shared too many of my thoughts following the Dallas game. However, what really happened for Caleb Jones in that Dallas game, and this is an important piece of this Joel Persson move, I believe, is the simple fact that for Caleb Jones, he did not have a game that was worth writing home about. I think through two periods, him and Benning both looked to be totally out to lunch. And realistically, yeah, Darnell Nurse is in there too. So three of our six defensemen that night were, well, that afternoon, were looking absolutely terrible. And then you've got Clefbaum trying to lead in the minutes and trying to generate something. And through two periods, we had a fantastic first two periods, but then all of a sudden, Matt Benning gets it together in the third period when the rest of the team quits playing. But Caleb Jones, like I said, continues to not really have a clue what's going on. So it's interesting to me that you'd bring in a guy for $1 million, Joel Persson, send him to the AHL, and keep a guy like Brandon Manning when he comes back to be your seventh defenseman, and then of course activate Adam Larsson and most likely send down Caleb Jones. That is my most likely scenario at this point, guys. I might be out to lunch on that. I'm not 100% sure. Again, I'd like to get to your thoughts, but just the setup I've got here, let me see if I can yeah, so I don't know how to check chat messages on mobile, so that's my bad. I apologize for that, guys. I'd love to be doing a regular like video, but unfortunately I busted my other mic on this mic set that I've been running. I was running the old lavalier mic there instead of the new headset mic. I didn't want to bring that along on the trip and have that get busted. But that said, right, Joel Persson goes to the minors. Probably not a bad move. That's the other side of this too. Is Joel Persson's going to the minors is probably not a bad move at all for the Edmonton Oilers, because you think about it, right? He's a $1 million contract. He needs that extra time to develop, and not playing since November 10th is not going to get him the playing time. And that's the other thing you have to look at, right? Needs time to kind of develop. No, I see your comments popping up now, Jack, and welcome in. Is the simple fact that for the Edmonton Oilers, having him develop, you either have to play him with Clefbaum or you have to play him in the minors. And that's okay. We're on that situation where we're playing him in the minors now, right? That just is the way it is at this point for Joel Persson. Guys, I'm going to try and, there we go. That's what we're talking about. There's a little bit of color in my face. That's a little bit better. As you guys see behind me, the cars going by here in Cold Lake. However, that said, no, I'm in Cold Lake right now, and this was a little bit of news. I'm just sitting there trolling Twitter on my mobile data. I don't do that often unless I'm in the truck at work. And all of a sudden here I am finding out that Joel Persson's been assigned to the minors. And well, guys, like I said, Caleb Jones going to go back down when Adam Larsson gets up. That means that Brandon Manning somehow survives another day. But the question becomes, if Brandon Manning survives another day, you've got Joel Persson in the minors, you're reactivating Adam Larsson, and you're that close to the cap, or over at this point. I'm really not sure how that's working because Sam Gagnier's up. What do you do? How do you build this team to succeed with that limited cap crunch, right? And obviously, I think anybody down in Bakersfield would probably point to the effect that Thomas Yurko's had, how many points he's had. I know pretty much every time I've seen things light up for Mr. Thomas Yurko on Twitter, it's always been for good things. So that's a positive. He's probably been doing fantastic down there in Bakersfield, guys. I just don't want to be interrupting the stream to check the stats and stuff. So Thomas Yurko probably is the solution to the cap crunch when you're talking about a guy like Sam Gagner going back down, and that all of a sudden gives us our cap space to reactivate Adam Larson and such and such and such. But it's going to be a tough order to really keep this team succeeding under the cap and stuff like that. But you look at how we've done it, right? Through the first quarter of the season plus, we've been absolutely fantastic at succeeding when really nobody thought we had a chance. So that's the weird part, right? Through all these games, we've got 29 points. We're tied for second most points in the NHL. Can you really sit here and say this team's as awful as we all expected it to be? No. That's the thing. It isn't. And you look at the circumstances, right? You look at what we've had on defense. You look at what the forward production up until that Dallas game has been when Jujhar Khaira goes and gets 2 goals. And you know how hyper I was to see that, guys. I think that second Jujhar goal, I just about was clapping so hard I deafened the lady in front of me at Rogers Place. But it just is what it is at this point, right? Is we're getting excited about seeing the depth scoring, right? Gaetan Haas, the other few games getting it going. Now you've got Jujhar Khaira going, but now this is the other side of the argument, and this is why this Joel Persson move is so imperative for the Oilers, is the simple fact that you have to start figuring out the guys that are going to play quality NHL minutes for you, how to get them to play that job perfectly. And for the Oilers, the thing is you have to get the D shots through, you have to play solid defense, you have to do everything right on the back end to stay on the back end this year. And that's the weird kind of parallel universe that we're living in, that is Joel Persson being on the back end for us. Is how in the heck does, or not Joel Persson, sorry, Brandon Manning. How does Brandon Manning, of all guys, considering how last year went and the trade and all the nonsense I've spewed and stuff like that, how does he sit there and all of a sudden become the guy who forces all these decisions? And realistically, Brandon Manning is that guy. But you look at it, okay, simple argument, Persson needs time to develop, that's good. And that's back to my point I was just saying about, is the simple fact for the Oilers, you need to be able to have a guy like Persson playing solid defense as well as offense. Persson got his first 2 assists, but he's only had points in 1 of his 10 games this year in the NHL. And as I mentioned, guys, if you're just tuning in, it's the simple fact that Joel Persson has not played since November 10th this year. So that's a span of 8 days Joel Persson has been sitting on the bench, not seeing game action. We're back into game action tomorrow against the San Jose Sharks. Joel Persson will go down to the minors. And I saw a question pop up about basically what am I thinking Joel Persson gets paired up with when he's in the minors. I think he'll play 1 game with just a random partner, and then I think it'll be very, very, very keenly that it is indeed Joel or Caleb Jones on his pairing. Because you think Caleb Jones, he plays the right side, he can play the right side, but Joel Persson actually is a right side defender, right hand shot and all that. So you get Joel Persson out there playing that side, then you hook up Caleb Jones. Guys, we're talking about, based on what I've seen of Joel Persson, based on Joel Persson's kind of thing I've seen out of him, is that you could very well see a very good tandem of him and Caleb Jones, because we know Caleb. Sorry guys, that was a random disconnection there, but okay, so let's get back to it, right? That tandem that I'd like to see in the minors is obviously Joel Persson and a guy like Caleb Jones, just simply because, well, right, offensive dynamos, those 2 guys, they can absolutely light it up. We know Caleb Jones has been lighting up the AHL, so we don't want to discredit that. Caleb Jones lighting up the AHL would be fantastic for us as the year goes along, because we do have 6 bona fide NHL defensemen and a credible 7th defenseman in Brandon Manning. Not saying Brandon Manning's my ideal 7th defenseman, but he's credible. He is absolutely a credible guy that you can have back there getting the job done. So it is what it is for the Edmonton Oilers, and we'll just move on kind of deal. But it's, right, Brandon Manning, I think he's here for the foreseeable future, which is not something I would have seen. But Joel Persson's in the minors now, and Caleb Jones likely to go down to make room for Adam Larson. And what happens to Sam Gagner is my only last question for you at this point. Do you put Gagner back on waivers, send him down to the minors? Do you make a trade? I think Thomas Yurko is the solution in that situation. There's a lot of questions to ask, and guys, this is probably as guys have alluded to on Twitter this weekend, is the simple fact that this is move number one of about 6 or 7 moves potentially we could see by Friday. I think to say like everybody's been asking for the Oilers to start making some moves and really shake things up because it's kind of gotten stale. Well, we've been succeeding even though it's stale. So you sit here now, it's maybe going to get time. This week could be the craziest week. Guys, I could be doing a couple of these today for who knows, right? I could be doing this today for craziness sake. So who really knows what this Oilers team is going to do? But first step was sending Joel Persson to the minors. So guys, I appreciate you listening to me sitting here in the car. I've never done this on Dolany TV before. I feel like I'm back broadcasting, especially doing it in Cold Lake. But guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolany TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you, as always, in the next one. Oh, got to figure out how to get out of here.